What is up, guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the Death Knight and their spell animations for Warlords of Draenor. We are going to be starting with Frost, looking at our Frost spec for the Death Knight class. As you can see in our spell book, ability Prune hit the Death Knights again fairly hard, down to fairly more simplistic rotation as far as our skills and abilities to use. Not a whole lot has changed by way of spell animation except for a couple things, but Death Knights really shine in the fact that they are godly powerful right now. No matter what spec you're playing, Death Knights seem to be doing extremely well. So no one's gonna make fun of you for not having flashy spells. They're just gonna be crying and screaming OP on the forum. First, we're gonna take a look at our Horn of Winter. So very similar effect to the warrior shouts that you're going to see there, just the pulse, except it's not as abrupt and erratic as the warrior shout is. You're seeing more of a slow build and out of that echo, and then it just kind of pulses out. So that's Horn of Winter. Look at Plague Strike next. So Plague Strike still, as you can see, that green swipe around your blade, and it does its thing. Frost Strike, so a very similar effect, just happens to be blue. Let's look at Icy Touch. So as you can see, drops that little spinning effect, that twirling downward effect of ice from the target hits, and then you see a burst of ice once it hits the ground. So that's pretty spiffy. And then we'll take a look at Death Strike. So Death Strike, as you can see, just very simple animation, just hits the target, and then you see the blood kind of slowly build and drop off the target there. How about Death and Decay? So Death and Decay still looks the same. Has the boiling effect there on the ground with your rune, making it clear where it is resting. Chains of Ice. So Chains of Ice still similar, or sorry, still the same effect as it is on live. Curious if they'll update it to the new Icy Chains look that hunters are having with their Icy Trap, and that you'll see mages have with their Icy Nova. That'd be pretty cool just to see. I wonder if they'll update it at all, but not that it necessarily needs to be, but it would just be cool. Death Coil, so still same effect, hurls the green skull at the target with the almost looks like a green gassy looking type effect there at the end, just with the green smoke, I suppose is a better way to describe it. Let's look at Howling Blast. So Howling Blast looks very interesting, a little bit different. It's not all just frost and blue stuff now. You actually see a little bit of green and purple in there, it looks like. Yeah, some green. So that's kind of cool. How about, let's take a look at Obliterate now. So Obliterate is still the same, just a very quick swing animation there, and then you see the splash there on the target as it ticks away for damage. Asphyxiate. So still the same little purple string there attached, and then you see the purple aura around the target as the duration of Asphyxiate lasts. Blood Boil still looks the same. How about Anti-Magic Shield? So still the green little shell that goes up around us. Looks like a little eggshell around the Death Knight. Look at Dark Simulacrum. So just a tiny little purple effect there on the target, drops it on him while the duration of the spell lasts. Let's look at Soul Reaper. So that one's still similar effect there, puts a little purple effect on the target, and there it rests. Let's take a look at Icebound Fortitude. So there still we see the face of the Lich there above us, a little bit of a roar, and that's all there is to it. Let's look at Empower Rune Weapon. I don't know if there'll be any really type of animation there on that one. So that's kind of cool, as you see it kind of shoots up the top of our blade there, the side of our blade there. How about Pillar of Frost? Oh, that's kind of cool. Looks like we're drinking something, but then we become just encased and enshrouded in ice for a bit there, that frosty haze. Mind Freeze ability, so there's still the swirly there, and then the burst there at the end. And then how about blood tap. So it's still just the red effect around us. And just any kind of presence swapping still is the same, just puts the color appropriate skull above our head with the effect there around it. Though each one is fairly unique, it looks like, to the specs. So as you can see, blood looks a little more soppy and drippy with the blood. You got frost, which is obviously more frigid and snowy, and then unholy, which looks more plagued in poison, spreading a poisonous gas. Let's take a look at some of our talents now. Level 56 talent for Death Knight Plaguebearer is passive. Plague Leech and Unholy Blight are not passive, they are activated. So what this one does is, so that's the shrouded effect there, puts a little green effect around us, and that's all it is, and it restores to us a couple depleted runes. Alright, let's go ahead and look at some of our other talents here. Level 56 tier, still looking at Unholy Blight now. Basically just throws the bugs and flies all around us. They do damage, which is kind of cool while they're swirling around, and they infect the frost or frost fever and blood plague. Wow, I couldn't remember the name of that disease there for a second. I wonder how that would work with necrotic plague, how it would stack up quite well. I'm curious. Let's take a look at anti-magic zone. So you can place it wherever you want, and there it pops, drops, and lasts for the duration, and then disappears. We're going to take a look at Death's Advance now, which is in your level 58 tier. We already did look at Lichborn previously, so I don't think it's worth addressing again. But it is worth noting that Lichborn is a talent, not a baseline spell for Death Knights. Death's Advance. So that way you just see the purple pulsing effect around us there. Let's take a look at Death Siphon real quick, and this one's pretty cool, I think. It just kind of pulls that green orb from the target towards you. Very true to form, true to name. Looks pretty cool, I think. Very Death Knight-ish feeling, I think. That's kind of cool. Once you get Remorseless Winter. Remorseless Winter's always been one of my favorite looking Death Knight talents. It's not new, obviously, it's in game now, but it just drops that cool orb or frozen orb effect around you, and just looks pretty awesome as you're marching toward the target. Definitely looks intimidating and cool, and obviously you don't want to get caught in it if you're fighting a Death Knight, so the intimidation factor is there for sure. But yeah, it definitely adds to that frozen behemoth juggernaut type feel to it, especially for playing Frost. And let's take a look at Defile really quick. Defile replaces your Death and Decay. It's your middle talent for your level 100 bracket. And what it does, let's go over here to these targets real quick so you can get a better feel for it. You drop it down here, and as it does damage, it grows. And it does do a little bit more damage. As you can see, it kind of creeping around on the ground there. It looks very similar to the Blood of the Earth, I think, skill that Morchok had in Dragon Soul. That very first boss. I may be getting his name wrong. If I do, that's okay. That's not important. What's important is that Defile looks really cool. All of your level 100 talents for Death Knights, actually, I really like. I was having a hard time deciding which one to pick. This one's just really, really neat. Looks cool. And it's effective, too, I think. Let's take a look really quick at Gorfien's Grasp. So that one, not too much of an animation to it, too. Just kind of see your character do its thing, and there it is. So, kind of disappointing as far as animations go there. But the really cool one here that I'm excited to show you is Breath of Sindragosa. Let's get full runic power here, and check this out. So you see the frost worm effect there above our heads, and just the more runic power you have, the longer it lasts, the longer it channels. And so that one's pretty cool. I do like that effect there, that the frost worm above your head, just constantly blowing the frosty winds there at your target, and it does heal you for a bit as it's doing damage as well, so that's kind of cool. Now, Death Pact has changed in the way it works, in that you no longer sacrifice the health of your ghoul if you don't have a ghoul, because Frost no longer summons ghouls, period. So what Death Pact does then is it heals the Death Knight for 50% of max health. It absorbs incoming healing equal to 25% of max health for 15 seconds. So a very different mechanic there in how that works. But let's take a look at what it looks like. So, and that's it. Just sits there. There's the cool rune effect there around you for a bit, and then it dissipates, and then the effect is resting on you. So, kinda nifty. Simple but efficient. One skill that we do have immediately that is different than Frost and Blood, of course, is our Scourge Strike. So similar to Frost and Plague Strike in that just the simple swinging of your sword, just with a color appropriate look to the swing. So this one is purple. Take a look at Festering Strike. So still purple little haze over there, the target. As you can see, conversion doesn't really have too much of an animation around us, it just ticks for damage. Let's take a look at our summoning of the gargoyle. So we pop it, and down comes the gargoyle, doing his thing. Just blasting the target. Now let's take a look at our dark transformation for our ghoul. No, I didn't say charge, Mud Ripper, come back. Yeah, there you are. So, still looks the same. All funky and plague-like. Oh, look, there's his arm. Aw, look at him go. Just doing his thing. He can't stay out of the fight. He has to fight. He can't help it. Silly Mud Ripper. Now to be taking a look at Bloodspec. Bloodspec, I think, has two of the most interesting abilities gone out of the ability prune for all classes, in that Bloodspec Death Knights no longer have Heart Strike or Rune Strike. Those are two pretty major skills for Blood Death Knights, and those are gone. So again, skill set, as you can see on our bars here, very similar to what we had in Unholy and Frost. Not too much really deviates from that typical build. Again, as you can see, we still have Dancing Rune Weapons, still Bone Shield, Dark Command. Let's take a look at Bone Shield. So Bone Shield still looks the same as the swirling bones there around us. Lets us and other people know it's up, so people don't question our tanking ability. Dancing Rune Weapon still does the same thing, whereas you can see our sword, and a mock copy of our sword is there up around the target. And it mix our abilities. How about Rune Tap? So just puts the rune over our heads. And how about our Dark Command? So that just the little aggro animation over the enemy's head. Let's look real quick at Vampiric Blood. So that one's still just very coherent with Bloodspec, and that just lots of red effects. Looks like some bubbles around us. And then that's about it. Let's look at Path of Frost real quick. I almost forgot about Path of Frost. So that's still a similar effect. Now let's look at Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead functions differently in that it is now an instant cast spell. No more needing to channel. The ghouls themselves do take their time raising from the earth up to fight alongside of you, but there's no longer a channeling spell required for it. So you just cast it and there it is. So that's kind of cool. Nice little improvement there, I think. The channeling was kind of a pain in the butt. The fact that you can just cast it while moving and running in before a fight, I'm a pretty big fan of. The Glyph of Foul Menagerie, it does cause your Army of the Dead spell to no longer raise just the typical ghouls, but it does raise a variety of ghouls still from the grave. You'll see like the Geists and the ghouls and the skeleton soldiers, so that's kind of cool. Now, a couple things that are pretty cool and worth showing off, just because they do affect spell animations or give you different spells, particularly Unholy, because it's kind of fun, is let's kill this gargoyle. And then we are going to do that. Aww, it doesn't really have any effect on us. I'm just turning it to a pile of skeletons. But you can still glyph into Corpse Explosion, which causes the corpses of anything you've killed to go boom, typically, instead of just turning into a pile of meat. Another thing that's worth looking at is, see how we have our pet. It looks like a ghoul. We can do the Glyph of Geist here, the Geist glyph for Unholy, and instead of summoning a Ghoul, we get a Geist. And then if we take the glyph of Skeleton, we get a Skeleton for a pet instead of a Ghoul or a Geist. So that's just, again, things that are still in the game, haven't been taken away, so it changes just the look and feel, animation of your Death Knight, giving you a little more customization and a little more versatility in play. I think that's about it for Death Knights. Come back, bats. But yeah, that should be it for Death Knights. Again, not a whole lot really is changed to our spells and their animations. I can tell you for a fact I'm having a blast playing a Death Knight on this Warlords of Draenor beta. Frost, Unholy, doesn't really matter. I've never really been enjoying both specs the same. I tend to lean towards one or the other, but this time around for Warlords of Draenor, definitely enjoying both Frost and Unholy for different reasons. They both play very smoothly, very efficiently. They're both very tough classes, and it's kind of fun to feel like you're have something to bring to a PvP match where you don't feel like you're just going to get face rolled all over. But that's going to do it for me, so I'm going to say, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.